do this. Hi, ladies. Hello, Janelle. We were just talking in the green room. Happy day after pub day yesterday.
Yay!
Yeah, hold up that book. Oh, there you go. Amy's got it. Rachel, there we go.
I've got it.
Oh,
Yay,
look at
so
that. The
pretty.
brilliance of
So
stars.
pretty.
There
It's
it is.
great. It is really, really a great cover. So
It is. I love that it's dark.
I do too.
I don't
And
have a
because
dark
it's the-
title yet, but I like it.
Yeah, I know. It's all good stuff. We're so happy to have you. I know that you had an event last night in person, so we get you the next day virtually. We were talking in the green room how I still love doing the virtual events. It's just still so much fun, and it just captures a whole different audience for us. So thank you all three for being here and helping us do that. Just real quick. So if you are watching live with us on Facebook right now, in the chat section of that, I am going to put in how to order Janelle's book. And in there, we love the audience questions. Rachel and Aimee are going to chat with Janelle for about 30-ish, 35-ish minutes, something like that. And then we'll take some audience Q&A. So I'll be chatting with you, put some questions in there. We love that. Janelle, where are you calling from today?
Virginia.
Rachel?
Toronto.
Aimee?
Estes Park, Colorado.
Okay, so we have literally got the because Warwick's is in San Diego, California. So we have got it pretty well covered here on
Very
geography.
continental.
Very continental, very across the board. So hopefully we've got people joining us from all
Three
over. So
time
this is-
zones. All we're missing is Central.
Exactly. I'm loving this. It's so great. All right, let me introduce these lovely ladies. Go away and you guys can talk about this wonderful new book. So best-selling author and with a passion for heart-stopping adventure and sweeping love stories, Janelle Ciesielski weaves fresh takes into romance of times gone by. When not creating dashing heroes and daring heroines, she can be found dreaming of Scotland, which is who doesn't like to dream about Scotland, indulging in chocolate of any kind, yes, sign me up, or watching old black and white movies. She's a Florida native who now, like she says, lives in Virginia with her husband, daughter, and lazy bagel. Beagle. Maybe he's a lazy bagel. Central is watching. Liz Martin's here and she's watching from Winnipeg, Canada. So we've got Central time zone coming.
Yay, Canada.
Yay. Runyan is with us today, writes to celebrate history's unsung heroines. She has been honored as a historical novel society editor's choice selection, as a 3-time finalist for the Colorado Book Awards, and as a nominee for the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writer of the Year. Congratulations on that. Aimee is active as an educator and speaker in the writing community and beyond. As she says, she lives in Colorado with her amazing husband, 2 usually adorable children, and 2 always adorable kittens. Those are always the best. And Rachel McMillan, like I said, Rachel, we've done this so many times. I think we're best friends now.
Everybody is so sick of me.
Not at
so happy.
all. We are not. You are on. You are I think like Aimee said, we need you on the payroll here. She is the author of the Herringford and Watts Mysteries, the Van Buren and DeLuca Mysteries, the 3/4 Times series of contemporary Viennese romances, and most recently, the Mozart Code, which is just fantastic. Everybody, we need to get that too. She is also the author of Dream, Plan, Go, a travel guide to inspire independent adventure, which I love. And like she said, she's from calling in today from Toronto. So ladies, with that, have a wonderful conversation and we'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks so much. Yay. All right. So I came up with some questions for you guys, but
Yay.
I think that everybody watching, you should know that I talk to Janelle and Aimee more than like anybody else in the world, like constantly.
I know it's the fact that we've been given a microphone is dangerous.
Yes.
Extremely dangerous because we talk
Constantly.
on the daily. Yes.
all the time,
All day.
It like
All
day.
day. Yeah.
It's all we do. Like for
Y'all
and
are the problem. I don't get any work done.
and so Aimee and I, of course, behind the scenes, we hear a lot about each other's works in progress.
Yes.
Thing I should say is we might bug Warwick's again next year because we have a book coming out that the 3 of us have done together called The Castle Keepers. Oh, Aimee, that's brilliant.
Perfect.
I keep it handy and it's hard because the print is white, so I'm going to do it at an angle, but this is our beautiful cover. So now you can see the ladies, with the beautiful castle in the back.
And it is so much fun because it is the story of a gorgeous castle, and it is set over 3 wars. So yeah, well, everybody, you're going to want to read that. But tonight we are talking about The Brilliance of Stars, a Jack and Ivy novel. And I really want to tell people that while I'm busy watching every Hallmark Christmas movie known to man, a lot of you are out there watching every Marvel movie known to man. And I really think that one of the major selling points about this book, Janelle, is that it is inspired, and pardon me, guys, I don't speak Marvel, but I speak Janelle, and it is inspired by Captain America's friend, the Winter Soldier, whose name is also Bucky Barnes. Look at me. Do I get 10 out of 10?
You did it.
So can you tell us why this amazing historical adventure romance is actually infused with your passion for this heroic story about this Winter Soldier?
So a couple of summers ago, I just got obsessed watching like a Captain America marathon on TV. And I've always been Captain America because one, he's gorgeous to look at, but also he is like the soldier from ye olden times. So of course I loved that. And he's patriotic and he's romantic and all these other things. So I've seen it a bunch of times, but then that summer I started kind of noticing his friend. I was like, hello, Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome. Look at you.
Hello, Bucky.
And then his story is so tragic. And there's nothing I love more than a tragic backstory. It's terrible, but I loved it. And so I started thinking, what would happen if this guy fell in love? Like, what kind of woman would he fall in love with? And what kind of woman would stick around for all that craziness? Because he went through some really bad stuff. He was an assassin, brainwashed. So what kind of woman would stick with that? And what would their love story look like? So that was the inspiration behind this. And it gave me an excuse to watch Sebastian Stan on screen for research only.
And for research only, yes.
I think
Yes.
it's really cool because one of the things that is really neat is everybody just reading Brilliance of Stars for the first time. This is a duology, which means, and you don't often see this in historical fiction. You often see historical romance series like Bridgerton, or you see a few characters that recur in a few books, like My London Restoration and My Mozart Code. They have a few characters, but this is a true duology, which means you are going to get to the end of this book and you are going to be angry at Janelle because you want more, and then you're going to get more when
Okay, when does it come? When does the next one come out? That's the next
August.
And what is the name
August
of it again?
The name is To Free the Stars. So there's a big star theme in the story.
I love that. I love that. And I have to say, my copy literally showed up 2 hours ago, and I've been reading, and I'm like on page 40. And I cannot wait for our chat. I mean, this is rare for me to say because I love chatting with you guys more than just about anything. But I cannot wait to get back to reading this. I mean, it is so captivating the way you show these opening chapters with the, young Jack and Ivy. And
so, so when I started it started with them as orphans. And then my editor, Laura, said, that's nice, but it's not very exciting. So I had to go back and add that opening scene that starts with a gun, because there's probably nothing more exciting than a gun in the first sentence. So that was tacked on much, much later. And then going back to your point, Rachel, about being a series, I actually pitched this as a trilogy.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I knew that.
Yes, I pitched it to Jocelyn over breakfast at ALA in 2020, right before we went into lockdown. And then she kind of calmly put her fork down and was like, no, you are not doing a trilogy. You need to condense it. So that's why it's 2 books now, but it was supposed to be a trilogy.
And I remember talking with you last year about you can do enough of a cliffhanger, but not so much of a cliffhanger that the readers are not satisfied by the end of Brilliance of Stars. And you worked that out perfectly. Because I remember long conversations about no, you need
Yeah.
you
Yes.
can't.
Yeah, that is a hard balance to strike. Like you have to be satisfied enough that you feel like you got your, I don't know, $15-17 worth from the paperback, but not so much that they're not dying to read the next one. That is such a hard balance to strike.
Well, it originally ended slightly different. It was much more of a cliffhanger. And then once again, my editor was like, no, you cannot end it like that because this is a romance. Maybe if you wrote suspense, you could do it like that, but we need something a little more uplifting. So I had to go back and change it again. But the original ending has been put into book 2, so I still got to keep it.
And I love that. And it shows that viewers that publishing has some rules. And I do feel that Janelle breaks a lot of them by writing this duology. Like, it is kind of neat, and it's something that you will not see in a lot of historical fiction books right now. So I wanted to ask you, Janelle, how did you work out the pacing so that there's enough adventure in both books 1 and 2? Did you plot the whole story and then just decide 50% is going here, 50% is going there? Or were there moments in the characters' lives that you knew you had to cover within the ground of the first book and then the second?
So, like I said, this story came from watching the Captain America movies. So I used their basic storyline from the movies, and that kind of helped guide me through the plot points that I wanted to get through with this book. And so the first book is about who these people are and how they met and who they became and how they got there and how they fell in love and all that. So it's kind of the origin story, I guess. And then the second story is when everything goes up in flames and what happens when the person that you love becomes a crazy assassin. That's the second part of the book. So this first one was really setting up a lot of things and getting it into motion that will be played out in book 2. But because I had that, the Captain America storyline, I was able to just, okay, I remember this, and this. And of course I changed it up to fit the narrative that I wanted. And basically what I did was I loved the friendship between Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes in the movie. It's such a good friendship. They're so loyal to one another. They'll do anything for each other. And I just turned Steve Rogers into a woman. That's what I did. That's the love story. And that's how it came.
Yeah, that's so sweet. And I think that it's I love that you bring that up, because it's so rare that male friendships are valued in entertainment. And so I think that's what made those movies so special. And I so enjoy the Captain America legend because it's so subversive in a way, because you take the propaganda from World War II and kind of turn it on its ear and show kind of the negative side of that. Because World War II is such, and I hate to use this term because I'm such an insane pacifist, but a militant pacifist, if you will, but it's such a popular war, and it has this, kind of grandiose zeitgeist. I mean, we're all writing. I mean, how many books have I written about it? But when you were writing, did you feel like you could tackle some of the subversive take of the movie where they show kind of the toxic element of all the pro-war propaganda, or did you kind of steer away from that?
In this one, I kind of steered away from it. I mean, like you, I write very war heavy based type stories. And so I'm accustomed to writing that kind of a narrative. But for this one, I'm just tired of writing about war stuff. And so I wanted to do something different. So the war is going on because this is set during the Great War. So it's happening, but it's in the background. It's not really what they're doing. It's kind of affecting stuff, but it's not the main focus of this one. So I was able to, not really dwell on those sorts of things. I think I picked topics that were a little more broad, like enemies aren't always black and white. And sometimes your friends
That's
do bad
important.
things and they think it's a good thing, and vice versa, and who you think you can trust isn't always who you can really trust. And so there's a lot of those type topics which I like to explore, because life is not black and white, and neither is war. And when you get into these situations, because they're assassins, and so they get into these really tough situations and they have to make very difficult calls, and it's like, oh, what would I do in that situation if I had to make these kinds of decisions and these split-second choices? What would I do? And I think that's something that we can all relate to. But as far as writing or thinking about any kind of propaganda, that didn't really cross my mind when I was writing this one, because I was so tired of writing about war stuff.
Yeah, and that kind of figures more into the Captain America than the Winter Soldier part.
Mhm.
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And of course, I'm asking ignorant questions because I'm only 40 pages in. But I mean, I'm enjoying it so much. And I've read a lot of your work, and I blurred what was it, Beauty Among Ruins.
Mhm.
And I feel like your writing has become even more vivid. I mean, it was great to begin with, but it's becoming so vibrant that it was really hard for me to put it down to come talk to you guys.
Well, thank you,
so-
Aimee.
But do you feel like there's something that any books that you've read that have helped push your writing forward, or have you noticed your own evolution as a writer, and do you attribute that to anything in particular?
I think we all do over time. All writers do. I mean, the more you practice something, the better you're going to get at it. And
For sure.
the more books that you read, the more you learn. Even though you may not think you're learning stuff, you're still ingesting it, and then it inspires something new. And I know y'all know this, but I love Stephanie Dray. And I just love her writing. And I always think I'm never going to be able to write like this, but it gives me aspirations. So yes, reading all different kinds of.
Sorry, that was my COVID sick little boy on our walkie-talkie.
Oh,
looked at him.
walkie-talkie.
Yeah,
Poor
so
little
yeah,
Kieran.
we have walkie-talkies, so I don't have to go into his room quite so much. So
Smart.
he was just saying I love you. So sorry about
Aw.
that. I'll respond in a minute.
Adorable. So I think, yeah, every time we pick up a book, it's hard to not be influenced by it, either by, oh, this is amazing, I want to see if I could do something like that, or that was terrible, I don't want to do that. And so we're constantly learning the more that we read. And I like to stick to certain genres. I've tried expanding. It's just not me. I have kind of the same type of stories that I like to read, but
And readers need to know that Janelle has not had the opportunity as of yet in her publishing career to write as extensively about the place that we all know she should be writing constantly, and that is Scotland. Just the way that her career trajectory has taken her thus far. Janelle actually just got back from your first post-pandemic trip to Scotland.
Yep.
She is, and I believe you do have one story set in Scotland that's part of a novella collection. Am I right in that? Didn't you write?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This was yes, it was published years ago with my first publisher, so very small publishing house, and it was the Highlander collection. So yes, I find that was the only one that I've written about Scotland, because I have another one, which you'll hear me go on about all the time, that enormous time travel one. But this is so far is the only one that's been published about Scotland. I don't know why it's not more popular. I mean, it's, unless you're Diana Gabaldon, it's like you can't even touch Scotland, which is not fair. I don't think that's fair.
We have a story about that, because when we pitched the idea of the Castle Keepers, we had set it in Scotland, and the team at our publisher strongly suggested that we move it to England, and we did.
Yeah, the north of England, very far north of England.
Because they were saying that it's just not as popular as it should be. But in Janelle's world, everything is Scottish.
I mean, I haven't met anyone who doesn't like a man in a kilt, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that it should be a bigger thing. But, you know, it's kind of the same for me. I have wanted from, you know, the get-go to write a book set in Ireland. And even that has been hard. I'm hoping and I'm waiting to hear that I might be able to do contemporary might be easier. But I'm hoping to set part of a contemporary book in Ireland. And so we'll see how all that goes. But, you know, I have a lot of Irish ancestry. And so it's something that speaks to me as well. And there's so much rich history in Ireland and Scotland. England gets such, you know, the lion's share of the attention. And then there's me who's writing like every third book about Paris. You know, there tend to be these places. And I love it when authors like Rachel.
Canada.
Yeah, I got to write 2 books about Canada.
I had trouble being, now it's different with authors like Genevieve Graham, and that is changing, and there's more stories that are going to be set in Canada. But when I first started, a lot of for my Herringford and Watt series, which is set in Toronto, a lot of publishers said if you move it to New York and Chicago, we'll consider it. But Canada was hard. But we should talk a little bit, Aimee, about the plethora of Paris set books. Oh, Vienna, that's my city.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I love it when authors subvert that, and you're making Vienna the new Paris. It's great.
I'm making Vienna the new Paris. The greatest compliment I get is when someone writes me and was like, Paris was my most beloved city that I wanted to travel to. Now I think I'm gonna go to Vienna. I'm like, haha, score 1 for Austria.
And I love Paris, but I'll say Vienna smells better.
And but Paris is going to be a huge part of your life, and because we have seen the publisher's lunch deal memos, we can talk about what you have coming up in terms of Paris. We've got the Paris Bakery that comes out with William Morrow, a bakery in Paris. Sorry, I'm so used to calling it the Paris Bakery book in my head
because that's what I use when I tell. Yeah,
that's a yes. So it's called a bakery. Do you have the? No, there hasn't been a cover reveal for that.
No,
yet.
the cover is going to be revealed in early December. There's a plan.
Well, there's a plan, right?
It involves pie and bakeries and things of that nature.
So that one, tell us a little bit about that one.
Okay, so it is really you know, a book that I loved writing. It's a dual timeline book. Set the first part of it is set in 1870 and 1871, so the period surrounding the siege of Paris by the Prussians. So it sounds familiar, Germany coming in and whomping on the French for the first of 3 times. And so that's and then following the siege of Paris, you have the Paris Commune, which was a workers' uprising. And so, you know, it's a period of great turmoil in Paris. And the other timeline is 1946 and the aftermath of World War II. 2 women from the same family, generations apart, who are rebuilding their lives or establishing their lives in the guise of this very small bakery in Montmartre. And it was just, you know, the book of my heart. There's lots of food, lots of recipes, lots of heartache, lots of romance. And, you know, it's, I'm finally getting final notes in, and it comes out August 1st. And I cannot wait to share that book with the world.
Wait, yours comes out August 2, right? Yeah.
Sometime in August.
Yeah. Yay.
Tag team.
Tag team,
So
I know.
We've got that.
Yeah.
And then we have a Provence set book coming out from you. It's contemporary.
Yes. A Memory of Lavender and Sage. It is, it's, you know, my love letter to Provence, which is where I lived when I was a student in France. And it is set in a very small town that's kind of a bit lost in time. And it's a woman going back to kind of rediscover her roots after, you know, many years after her mother had died and her father recently died, and she finds herself with the means to go back and rediscover where she came from, and some wackiness ensues, and of course a bit of romance, and she discovers that she has some gifts that she didn't expect. And so yeah, that's called The Memory of Lavender and Sage, and that's coming out in February of 24.
And then tell us about the other Paris book that was just announced that's coming out, because you are booked for France for a long time now.
Yeah.
Yes. So that, well, and it makes sense. I was a French major, so you know, it's great to base so many of my books there, and you know, using my actual degree and stuff like that. But Mademoiselle Eiffel is very much a Paris set book, and it's coming out in probably fall of 24, and it is the story of Claire Eiffel, Gustave Eiffel of Eiffel Tower and Statue of Liberty fame. His oldest daughter was really kind of thrown in to be his helpmeet after his wife died when Claire was only 14, and she took over kind of as his right-hand woman. And it's kind of the journey of her life, and defining her own life under the specter of her father's shadow, and her basically cleaving her life to her father, to the point where even her husband moved in with the pair of them in their house on the Rue Rabelais, because her father couldn't do without her. And so, yeah, just discovering her untold story has been great fun. I got to do research at the Musée d'Orsay, touch letters that they wrote to each other. And
So
it was
cool.
incredible.
And I want to hit on something you mentioned, Aimee, that I can direct to a question I had for Janelle. And that's that we all know that you loved losing yourself when you were writing about this Paris bakery. You really loved that book. It was a book of your heart. Now, Janelle, obviously there's so much of your personal catnip within the Brilliance of Stars, the whole Captain America Marvel thing. You love a strong hero who has a bit of a tortured side, but you also mentioned that there were periods of this novel that were really hard to write. Do you think it's because you were so excited to finally get the opportunity to do this that there were just moments where it's like, oh, I want to throw this across the room?
Yeah. That happens with every book, doesn't it? This is the worst thing ever. So this is my COVID book, which we all have those. And I started writing it like a month before we went into lockdown. And I was so excited beforehand. I thought, this is going to write itself, no problem. And then,
every author said that to themselves, and every author was wrong.
So wrong. So wrong.
There's going to be fewer distractions. We're locked in. Oh, wait. I have to homeschool my children.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. So, homeschooling. I mean, well, we didn't even have school for a while, right?
Yeah.
So it was just chaos. And then I had to lock myself down into the basement just to write because I couldn't concentrate. And then so much bad stuff was going on. It's hard to feel creative when you're just stressed out that much. And so this book did not write itself. It ended many days in a lot of tears because I was just so, depressed like everybody was. And eventually the words came, but it was like pulling teeth. It was so hard to write, which made it even more upsetting for me because I knew it was supposed to be an easy story to tell, and it wasn't going how I had planned it. But a lot of the scenes I was really excited to write. And then it's almost like you self-sabotage. You're like, I'm so excited. The scene is going to be so amazing. And then when you start writing it, there's no way I can write how amazing it is in my head. It's just never going to be able to compare. And I just can't get it out onto the page. And, just all these doubts that I think all of us struggle with.
Janelle is such a clean writer. She really is. Her drafts are
I
amazing.
envy. Having gotten to work with you
amazing.
on a project and seeing how clean your drafts are, it's like, I've got to step up my game, guys.
I've
my
learned
God.
so much from Janelle. Also, I've learned something, and that's that I'm currently editing a book, and I often finish the sentences in my head, but I don't finish them on the page.
You
And I'm
don't.
like, so when I go back to it, it's like,
Yep.
oh, of course my editor didn't see this, but I know how this ends in my head, and I just type it out. It's just really funny. We're getting to I just want to remind people that you can pop some questions out to Julie, and she will share them here, and we will get to the questions that you have about Jack and Ivy or Aimee Runyan's 18 million books, or books that we're reading and loving. I do want to ask you, Janelle, is there a story about the necklace you're wearing?
Yes, there is.
Tell us about it.
If you've read the book, then you might be able to recognize the shape of it.
Oh,
So it's two
I
circles.
don't know yet, but I know, but I can guess.
it's not a
I can
huge
guess.
spoiler.
It's two circles that are interconnected. So a couple of years ago, my husband and I were in Iceland for our 10-year anniversary, and he bought me this necklace, and I was like, oh, I love it so much.
That's a good one.
So then
And
it's in here. So when I was writing this story, spoiler alert, they Jack and Ivy end up together, and so he
What,
proposes.
in a romance novel? How dare you?
I know.
Yeah.
So he proposes to her with the only thing that he has on hand. I won't tell you what it is, but because they're spies and they can't outwardly wear, wedding rings, she has them linked together like this, and she wears it as a necklace. And because he can't wear his ring, he gets it tattooed over his heart. So
Like, that is just so, you guys, that's just so hot. Like, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
She dedicates the book to her husband, just so you know, and that's a sign of an
So
author
sweet.
who knows. And yeah, A Bakery in Paris is going to be dedicated to my husband too, because he was the one that in lockdown, while I'm pitching books and stuff like that, he said, you should write a book about the Paris Commune. I research it because I remember I'm like, oh yeah, Jeremy's right. And then, I married him. So
For the story ideas. I love that.
Obviously.
For a few other things, but also,
Right.
Yeah.
You were a professor. You are gonna have good ideas for me as a historical writer. And I think it's really wonderful that Janelle's been able to write so many different amazing kind of tropes and archetypes that she loves. Beauty and the Beast is one of your favorite stories. You love Marriages of Convenience. You love Bucky Barnes, and it's really wonderful and thrilling for people who love you so much, like Aimee and I, to see you being able to do some of the stories that you really, really love. And I am on the inside circle here, so
Yeah.
I know that Janelle has some stories in her brain right now
They're
that
brewing.
are going to blow your minds. Okay. Like, legit blow your minds forever.
Yeah.
Mind blowing forever. So does anyone have any questions? Throw them in. Otherwise, one thing I do like to ask authors when I'm chatting is Aimee and Janelle, have you read anything? Well, Aimee, clearly The Brilliance of Stars, the first 40 pages just caught you, but have
Yes,
I
I'm so excited. Yeah.
read anything recently that you're just loving? I'm gonna grab the one that I'm loving.
Well, Aimee Nathan's Well-Behaved Wives is amazing, and that book has been kind of climbing the charts all over Amazon.
yeah.
And she's such a lovely human being, and the book is just so beautifully crafted. And I'm actually going to be promoting that book for Aimee on the Tall Poppy network, Bloom, because Aimee is no longer, she's like an alumna poppy.
She's like a special.
Yeah, and so I'm actually going to be hosting in honor of Aimee. And so that book is amazing. And I'm also really looking forward to reading Sonali Dev's The Vibrant Years, which is one of Mindy Kaling's
Mindy K.
first books. Yeah.
I'm
And
a
so that one's
huge
coming in the
Mindy
mail
fan.
like Friday. I'm very excited.
Ooh. So I just finished this one.
What a gorgeous cover that is.
Pretty.
It's amazing.
I really want to read that. I keep seeing that. And
It's so good. I
so
grabbed it at
striking.
ALA. So if you like Victorian Gothic and crumbling old
Doesn't-
estates
I
and
do.
murder mystery and atmosphere and a little bit of romance and spiritualism with seances and stuff.
Catnip all over that. Amy's
It's so
catnip.
good.
And my catnip book right now is Marvelous by Molly Greeley. It comes out next year. And oh my gosh, you guys, Aimee and Janelle have heard me not talk about anything else but this book, but it's partly because it is based on the true story that inspired the Beauty and the Beast fairy tale. So it is absolutely one of the most gorgeous books I've ever read in my entire life. Every sentence is poetry, and I will not shut up about it. And look at this cover.
It's a good
And
cover.
Yes.
Molly has written a few books that were Austen inspired, but this is her first foray into something that's magical and fairy tale, but rooted in this amazing, I say magical because that's the experience. It's
Mhm.
actually based on two very human people in the time of Catherine de Medici.
Yeah.
But
I straight up asked my editor for a copy, an arc of that book, and she mailed
'cause
it to me like on my
I will not
winter
shut up
TBR.
about it because I'm insufferable. But then
But we love you.
So I guess just before I get to question, keep them coming, guys. I mean, these are two amazing, like, come on, they're awesome people. But
Yeah, we
let's
are.
let's do a roll.
Totally.
We've kind of done a roll call of what Aimee has going on for the next few years in terms of what she's been able to announce, but we all know that there's more books coming. They're just don't
I'm
stop.
tired, guys. Not gonna
Janelle,
lie.
what's
I'm
your
tired.
what can we expect from you in the
What's
coming?
my schedule? Well,
Yeah.
well, we have
We have Castle
Keepers
Keepers.
in the spring, and then
Yep.
we have the second Jack and Ivy later on. And then at the moment, I am waiting on 2 proposals that I sent in. So hopefully I will be able to announce those soon. Both historicals. I might do a little foray into the 20s with one of them.
I think that
Wow.
you suit the 20s really well. And for everybody who reads me, I've got Castle Keepers with these awesome people. And then next fall, I have Operation Scarlet coming out. We should have a cover reveal for that soon. And it is my take on the Scarlet Pimpernel story set in 1940s Paris and
Oh,
Rouen. So it's
gonna be
kind of
amazing.
like my Paris book. And then and one of the clubs that I use in the book, my fictional club, nightclub, is named for Aimee's cat Gigi.
Yeah, who's
So-
sitting over on my desk right now? I would show you big black
Become
one.
an author and then name things after your friends' cats. Okay, this is what we do.
I'm gonna expect a daisy at some point.
Oh, there has to be a
Oh,
daisy.
totally.
Yeah,
Daisy.
I'm moving that in to something. But we did have a question from Jackie. Hi, Jackie. She asked, how many books are in the Jack and Ivy series?
Wrong
That's the
book.
wrong one.
You have so many books.
Oh my gosh. Wait, no, that's marvelous. This one.
There are 2. There
Yeah,
would have
it's a
been 3, but my
duology.
editor said no, so it's 2.
Sheesh. The conditions you have to put up with, Janelle.
But I
But
get to use the fancy word duology, and most people are like, I don't know what that is.
because there's so few of them, but this is a true
Yeah, I
two-parter.
wrote one. Yeah, I wrote it. Well,
yes.
sort of a duology.
Yeah, and Aimee, actually, I met Aimee because I wrote her a fangirly blog gush of her first book, which is amazing, Promise to the Crown. So everybody go and find the backlist of these 2 amazing authors. And Janelle's first published book was called Among the Poppies. Wow, I can't
A
believe
gorgeous
it.
cover.
Yeah, gorgeous cover.
yeah.
And you're really wonderful with all the World War I stuff. But yeah, I think that was all the questions we got. I guess because we're just so thorough. We have just
And by thorough, you mean
answered
chatty. We don't shut up.
everything.
Yeah. Yes.
Go us.
Where else can we find you, Janelle? Do you have any other virtuals or anything coming up that we need to pay attention to?
Virtuals, no, but I have a lot of in-person signings, but they're local. So if you're in the Northern Virginia DMV area,
That's awesome.
check those out.
I'm coming back on.
That's amazing.
Julie, come back.
Hi.
I love it. So I love that we're back in the world of real signing. So
Yes.
your fans are lucky that that's going to happen. So good luck. All the best to you on those.
Take
And then
care.
I was
Because you never
looking-
know if people are going to show up.
And I have to tell you, don't be disappointed because we started up pretty much right away. Our regulars that normally came pre-COVID, they're really not showing up yet still. We still are getting good audiences, but it's a lot
It'll
of
come.
It'll come. So we'll all be good. But we did, I was trying to look at the date when we did Ice Swan. Was that last year or the year before that we did with you, Janelle?
Last year, wasn't it?
Look
Last
at that.
summer?
You know it better than I do.
Oh,
Was
because
it 2021?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it was
Oh, I've got that right over there.
right around the 4th of July. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was trying to look at that. Okay. I cannot wait for Castle. Is it Castle Keepers?
Castle Keepers.
There's
Look
Ice
at
Swan.
Aimee just there with all the
There
yeah.
There we go.
Castle
I love
Keepers.
that cover. That cover was really good too.
It's so
So
shiny.
good.
it's so shiny. It's like
That's a
ice.
good one.
Yes, I love it. No, I have physical copies of almost all my friends' books, and I just prioritize buying that. I dress like a slob, but I have all of my friends' books
You're a good
because it
person.
feels like having, all my great friends with me, even though
It's
they
so-
are spread out
and-
everywhere.
Aimee knows that I have a huge crush on the character Ian Graham from Kate Quinn's The Huntress.
Right.
Like Ian Graham is like my fictional husband.
There it
And
is.
so my books are near Ian
Yes,
on her shelf.
next to,
So they
next
can
to
be
Murder as a
friends.
Flamingo. Yes, next.
I
So,
love it.
and it was
I love
great
it.
because
I
I
love
blurred
that.
this.
It's so sweet.
Yeah,
Book
I
friends.
blurred this one.
You
And
did.
then
back in the
I
day.
got to read this one while it was in progress in beta reads because I was working on Daughters of the Night Sky, which was also about the night witches. And so
Oh.
those books came out not too far apart. And so I'm not going to bother putting those back because it'll just be an avalanche on
So I dominoed your
But-
bookshelf.
yeah. But yeah, no, that's a totally fun story that Kate and I, that's kind of how I got to know Kate was we were both working on Night Witch books around the same time. So
She's awesome too. Love her. Love
love her. She's
Love
one of the
her.
nicest humans ever.
She and Rachel, just like you, so generous. All of you, so generous with her time. I mean, she's really a gem too. But Castle Keep. I want to talk about Castle Keepers, right?
Castle
Yeah.
Keepers.
Oh, when's it coming?
May.
May
March?
2nd. May 2nd.
March?
May 2nd.
Which
May
M
2nd.
month?
That's an M.
May
Starts with an
May
M?
2nd.
May the
May-
2nd, and it
May,
came out of COVID. It was a pandemic
yes.
idea.
Okay. I
Yeah,
can't
it
wait.
saved my sanity. Like
You have to
yeah,
get.
just
You
being
have to
able to
get.
chat.
You have to get on my books.
And honestly, enjoy Castle Keepers because I think that, knock on wood, we want to keep this
trilogy,
little
this
group
trio
of us going together we have other stories.
We do.
And
for
you know what?
collaborative projects.
I love the collaborations. They're really fun and I think they're fabulous. So
Yeah, and I feel like we learned so much from doing
Yes, we
this.
did.
We learned so much
We
because
did.
we're
So much.
such very different writers and we approach
Yeah.
things so differently, but the final product is great.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
the other thing we learned is that I have heard horror stories of writers trying to collab together. You
Yeah.
really have to trust and have the instinct of the other people that you're
Yep.
like. We actually really well, I'm speaking for me. I actually really like these people. So
Yeah.
Well, and I think what's
So
happened,
worked out.
too, though, I think all of us getting used to Zoom and doing this stuff has helped.
Yeah.
Because I think prior to that, I don't know if people really used it enough, and maybe relied
Yeah.
more on just doing the Google Doc thing. And I think really talking in person, I think that helps a lot, even though you all are three very different places on the globe right now.
Yeah.
All right.
and yeah.
go ahead.
There-
Go
There's
ahead.
no I was going to say there's no ego between the three of us, and that's the big thing.
Yeah, that's
Ego free.
and that's huge. And that's you. Well, I can't wait. I need a date on the calendar so I just think this will be another really fun event. So
Thank
Amy,
you,
this is
Elizabeth.
going to start with you. You have a website to send people to, I'm assuming.
Me? Yeah. www.amykrunyan.com.
Okay. And all your socials are on there, right?
All of my socials are on there. Yeah. And
Perfect.
it's going to get a pretty facelift with new covers soon. It's going to be great.
Ooh, love it. Rachel?
and I have a website. I just can't remember the domain name.
Well, where do you want to send people? Because I know I follow you on Twitter. So I
Twitter
would love-
is everywhere online that's not my website, which it does exist. I'm Rach K Mick at RACHKMC. So Twitter, Instagram. I'm also on Goodreads and I share a lot about what I'm reading. So yeah,
Okay.
stalk me, please.
I love your Twitter. Your Twitter is very fun. So I love Twitter. It's very fun. And Janelle, how about you? Where do you want to send people to go find more about you?
Ciesielski.com.
Okay.
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy. Well, congratulations on the book. Thank you for
Thank you.
spending this evening with us. Rachel and Amy, thank you for your time as well. Janelle,
thank
good
you.
luck on the rest of your tour. Be fun. All right.
Thank you.
Brilliance of Stars. Thanks, everybody. Everybody have a great
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.